Alright, for this week's fly, we're going to go with a Grannom Caddis. Anybody who has fished the East Coast, this is one of the main hatches that everybody's after. The little J especially, late March, early May, depending on water temps that year. This is the first hatch that everybody is after, and it's such a prolific hatch on that river. I mean, you talk to anybody who's fished it and they'll rave about it. My dad and I fished it a couple of years back, and it was so thick, like you were almost afraid to talk because you'd wind up eating 2 or 3 of them. They're just everywhere in the water. It looks like it's boiling. There's fish just rising everywhere. So this is a very fun hatch to target, and this is the pattern that I had put together, a while back. This has been, I don't even know how many years back now. Probably, I'm not even going to venture to take a guess on that one. I don't want to date myself too much. But we're going to start this one off. It's a 3-part fly. So it's a very quick pattern, but I'm going to manage to make it a 10 to 15 minute video, just because I'm gonna rant, or I'm gonna ramble on a good bit. But for the body on this one, I use 3 different colors. I have black, brown, and then it's a gray olive. For my thread, I have a gray olive. This you can obviously tell this is back when I was really picky about colors on flies and everything, and didn't really realize that it was more so presentation that mattered than the color combinations. But this is the way I did it back then. So I'm going to show you guys the pattern that I put together. So this is like I said, 3-part, 3 different colors for the body on this, and we're going to go probably, oh boy, here we go with math. We'll probably go 50% with black, and then 30 brown, 20 olive. We'll go with that. I don't know, I just eyeballed it for the longest time, and this is what I came up with. So I'm gonna just put these 3 together, and this is where, like, if you have a spare coffee grinder, it really comes in handy doing this kind of stuff, because when you're working with this super fine dubbing and you blend your dubbing this way, it loses the fuzziness, and it becomes more matted, and it makes it a little bit more difficult to tie in and get the tapers that you're after. But it is manageable this way. I mean, you can still fluff it out a little bit running it through a comb, but you'll see once we get it actually tied on and on the hook, you'll be able to see the different effects that we get from it. Completely unnecessary looking back on it now. 100% unnecessary. You could run straight black if you wanted to. Throw a little bit of olive in there. But I thought that color combinations they had to be absolutely exact. Not really. I probably just had a bad drift back then, so that's probably why I wasn't picking up as many fish. It wasn't the color of my flies. But anyhow, I told you I was going to get 10 to 15 minutes out of this one. We're starting off with a Daiichi 1110 size 14. And this, by the way, will probably do, get that in the frame, that right there. See how it's really matted compared to when you take it right out of the package. Where are we at? This is what we have. That's just not going to work. Bring this out a little bit. This is the difference that we have in the 2. This is right out of the package. This is blended. This is a little bit tougher to work with because you want to get as few strands on there as possible to avoid building bulk and all that, and eliminating bumps in your body. But it is still doable doing it this way. You just kind of have to manipulate it a little bit more. But like I said, Daiichi 1110 size 14. I'm going with a gray olive thread. You can go brown, black, whatever color you pick. You can go straight olive if you want. I don't put a tail on this caddis. I really don't ever put a tail. You'll see some commercially tied patterns where they have like the hackle fibers and everything coming out the back, and I've never done it. Never really seen a need to. If you want to, you can put like the fluorescent green Zelon for the egg sac back there. I'll do it every once in a while, but for the most part, when I'm tying these flies, or when I was tying these flies in the past, I just kind of went with the standard body on this. So what we're going to do now is put our loop on here. We're going to double loop, and you want to stay away from any inconsistencies throughout this. So I have one right there that's going to wind up causing trouble. We'll get that squared away, and we'll just rip right through this with the rotary function. These are pretty slender bodied flies. They get their bulk from the wing. So I'll just go back over top of this a little bit in the front third of it, just add a little bit more bulk. But they get their bulk from their wing case. That's what makes them look like a huge fly. You look at the actual body on them and they're pretty slender. And that goes for any caddis really. I mean, you're not going to have a huge taper like you do on mayflies with a caddis. For the second material on this fly, let's see if I can find a good one. I'm just going with a natural Dun CDC. Oh boy, sorting through this stuff, you can really wind up getting pretty picky on this. I like something that has some, a good taper to it. It's gonna have a nice shape, and that one's probably not perfect, but I think by the time we get it tied in, it'll look pretty good. So I measure this out and I go just past, that feather's not going to work. False alarm. This one looks a little better. This one looks a little better. So I'm going to go just past the bend of the hook with this CDC. Trying to get that stem laying flat. Peel all this stuff back. And tie this in. And pull that back just a little bit. So I probably go, I don't know, maybe 1/4 of an inch past the bend of the hook on this. So now I'll flip this over so you can see it. There you go. I mean, the underneath side, you can't really see it too well, but this is what the fish are going to be seeing. This isn't the typical tan elk hair caddis wing that you'll see. These are a lot more on the gray to, dun side than they are the tan. And they're really modeled too on the top where you have like the black and the gray mixed. The fish really don't see that too much. The fishermen do, but the fish don't see that. What they're after, to imitate this, if you look at the underneath side, they see more of the gray. So that's where the CDC comes into place. For the wings, I go with just like I said, they're more on the gray side. So I go with this medium dun Comparadun hair, and I'll show you the patch once we zoom out a little bit. But take a generous amount of this, and we're going to take it just past the CDC. So measure that out, and then I'm going to take and clip this right here. So we have a nice clean break on this. spin your thread, and you'll just work this around to try and get 3 good wraps on there. Get some good pressure on this. I'm going to give it 1 more, and then go around the eye of the hook. Get some good pressure on that and really flare that head out nice. You see how it has that nice flared head? Because we're not using hackle on this pattern, this is what's going to be your flotation. This deer hair is going to be your flotation. This is what's going to help keep your fly afloat. When I fish caddis, when I fish stoneflies, I love to twitch them. I love to move them around. Having that good deer hair head will keep you afloat, and I throw a little bit of floating on there. The CDC helps some as well, but I love to be able to twitch them, and this keeps you going even in the faster water. So the last thing I'm going to do is just whip finish this, and let me get 1 more in there. Then we'll flip this thing around so we can get a 360 on it. Kind of work these fibers up a little bit. And trim some of that stuff up. The CDC's still how we want it. Everything looks pretty good. So you can see the underneath side. There you go. This is what the fish is going to be seeing. They're going to have this mottled wing over top, the nice dark blackish brownish olive body, and then your CDC underneath. It's a really quick pattern, really effective pattern for the Grannoms. I've done well on this pattern in the past, and like I said, you're still able to twitch it a lot when you're fishing this, because if you watch a caddis on the water, it's not like a mayfly to where it just floats down and floats and floats and floats to where it's ready to take off and then it just goes. A caddis bounces a lot throughout its drift before it's making its flight. So twitching the fly allows you to imitate that, and sometimes, I mean, that seems to be what a fish is after. It will trigger a strike more so than just a straight dead drifted caddis. But there you go, there you have it. There's the Grannom Caddis. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them with me and I'll get back to you. But thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you on the next fly.